Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. It is review time for the PNY 480 gig CS900 SSD drive. This is one I just recently put into my late 2013 27-inch iMac. That was fun. I would do it again. I think I'd actually do it iPhone again too, even though originally I said I wouldn't. But anyways, so what's the scoop? Well, solid 4 out of 5, man. I'm telling you, this thing is a great little drive. Doesn't go without its information, though. So the rated manufacturer's read speed is 550 megabytes per second, and their write speed, they say, is 500. In real-time numbers, using a program called Blackmagic, which seems to be one of the most popular ones for Mac people, our real-life speeds are 389.8 for the write, and the read is at 399.8. So, reasonably close, you know, I mean, it's decent. Now, anytime you use an SSD drive, Mac, PC, there's different ways to install them, okay? We're not going to get into that. If you want to watch the video on actually how to install this thing, right step by step, I do have a video on this particular iMac that covers the 2012 right on up to a whole pile of them, and what all is involved in upgrading to an SSD and what you're going to need. Now, SSD drives are basically a big chunk of RAM is what they are. Okay, so if you look at your computer specs, in my case, I have 16 gigs of RAM in my computer presently, which is made up of 4 gig memory sticks. So a SSD drive is like a massive memory stick is what it is, okay? And there's nothing faster than memory, right? Now I am eventually going to max out the memory in my computer to 32 gigs, and I'll probably, you know, get a little bit more speed out of my computer too once I do that. Because the more memory you have in your computer to run your computer and your programs, the faster and smoother things run too. However, an SSD drive is going to be a huge impact in a great way on loading time of your OS, loading of your programs, how smoothly they run, that sort of jazz, okay? What you are not going to benefit from on an SSD is when you are surfing the internet, okay? Yes, your browser will fire up rather rapidly, no problem there. We can fire up Chrome, and I'm up. Now, the program itself will fire up much faster. As far as, you know, the actual watching of a video and stuff like that and getting the page to load, that is more based on your internet connection speed. And I'm running an LTE rocket hub, so I've got some amazing speeds even for being 11 kilometers from the nearest cell tower, because it's a cellular type device that we surf the net with. We've also done it with iPads and that too on the LTE network, and it's quite fast. The closer you are to the tower with a rocket hub, the faster it gets. Just as a little bit of rabbit hole stuff, because we're going to go down the rabbit hole anyway. When we were in North Bay before we moved out here 4 years ago, we first got the rocket hub, and we had the rocket hub for a month in North Bay, and our nearest cell tower from the house was literally 1,000 feet away. And the speed out of that, oh my gosh, talk about lightning fast. You know, I mean, even uploading files was like super fast. It's still pretty quick, even being 11 clicks from the tower, but man, it was like 5 times faster than that even in being that close to a tower. So we do get exceptionally good speed for being out in the country with this system, but we're limited on our internet connections out here. It's either satellite, which is slow as a dog. Actually, it's more like slow as a, maybe an ant, literally. The rocket hub is like severely faster. But even loading programs off the SSD, like GarageBand, for example. Okay, I mean, it's a pretty big program, especially when you happen to also have every single sound that Apple has in their collection on your computer now. You know, it's quick. Loading programs way faster. Word processor, you know, boom. I would still be waiting for that thing to launch on the mechanical drive. It's just insanely fast having an SSD, because SSDs being basically a huge RAM chip, there is nothing faster than RAM currently, so, you know. And if you're a Mac user back in the day like I am, I've been with Apple computers since like 1981, so I've been through like all the Apple II series and the first Macs and everything, and you know, when the internet was first invented, that sort of thing. We used to do under OS 9 and below on the Mac what would be called a RAM drive that we could create from our onboard memory that actually ran the computer's operating system and programs, because that's what RAM does generally, right? So we'd create a RAM drive and then put our system folder and maybe a program or two in that RAM drive if we had enough space, and then we would use the RAM drive as a startup device and reboot the computer that way and run the software. And you want to talk about lightning fast? Holy cow! It's like you turned on the power and poof, you were there. Fired up the program, poof, it was there. That fast. And it's like, so SSDs are pretty much stemmed off that technology. And I love it. It's great. I went to a new drive because my internal stock hard drive that was in there was a 3.5 inch or 3 inch, whatever they call it, mechanical hard drive at 7200 RPM. So it chewed up 12 volt and 5 volt lines both out of the power supply, so it's chewing a lot of power. It runs hotter because of being a mechanical drive, so it's drawing a lot more energy away, and it's drawing a lot more amperage from voltage from the system. So yeah, you know, you could expect that every once in a while, even running a light duty program, your fan would kick on. My fans haven't even kicked on since I went to the SSD. The SSD is only using just the 5 volt line, because an SSD drive is kind of like a USB stick, right? And we have these in all different types of sizes too, and some pretty big ones nowadays as well for USB sticks. And so they run 5 volt. And so they're going to run fast, especially considering there's no moving parts in an SSD. They run lightning fast speeds. And they do have even faster drives than these out that I have. Now, to go down the rabbit hole a little bit more, all right, I'm going to recommend you buy 2 SSDs when you're going to go to an SSD drive in your computer, whether it's a Mac or a PC. And you can get them the same size, or you can get one slightly smaller. It just depends. Whatever hard drive requirements you have for your internal drive for all of your operating system and your programs. This does not include data files. Always keep those on an external device, period. Keep your data safe and secure. I went through this, learned the hard way once, okay? So always keep your data files and installers of programs you've downloaded. Keep them on an external device as well. Okay, this way you don't have to re-download nothing, all right? But get the second drive, whatever size requirement you need, and clone that second drive, okay? So when you put an SSD initially into your computer, put it in naked. Download fresh copy of the operating system for your computer, all fresh software for your installers of all your software, set your computer up, get all your OS updates done, get it finished to that point, and then clone the drive to another SSD drive, okay? This way, you have an exact perfect copy of your internal drive right here. All your sign-in stuff for Google, whatever, licensing that you had to register software for, it's already done on your main drive. Well, now it's also on this, okay? And that's what you want to do. And if you have room, back up some of your data onto one of these as well as a secondary kind of a backup source from your external drive. Because right now you're probably using an external mechanical drive. Like I've got a 1 terabyte external drive that's 5400 RPM, and it plugs in the USB port. And you know, I share this drive actually between my Mac and my PC, so I left it under a file system that'll do that. So even a lot of my PC software is on my Tera drive. That's my external device, because that's where all my data is now. So another thing I did that I'm going to recommend for Mac users as well, especially for your main hard drive, is any programs you download from the App Store, they're going to be in your app folder. You're going to have a copy on your clone, I get it, alright? You're going to think I'm a little crazy, but I also went into my backup folder, took all the stuff off my Tera drive that would fit, put it into here, and all the apps that I can't afford to lose, period, are also double copied from here into my backup folder. And this way I can take this folder at a later date, and it's going to be going to a SSD external drive, okay, that's going to be just a data drive. Okay, so this way, no matter what, I have no worries. I never have to worry about downloading anything else on a system reload. So if anything happens to my internal drive, okay, I can take this drive, I can plug it into my dock station on my USB, and I can change my startup device to this drive, which takes this one offline, and then I can reformat this clean, and all my cloning software is also on here and active. I reclone from here to the internal. I am up and running with everything, including the most current updates at the time that I did this clone, already there once again in under 20 minutes. That is, to me, something that is worthwhile doing and investing an extra SSD for. So as I install more programs, I'm also recloning this each time as well with a fresh update of everything. Like this morning I downloaded iMovie because I was kind of debating, do I really want to put iMovie back on my computer, because I really don't use it that much. But I thought, you know what, it's there, it's an Apple app, it should be there anyway, so I downloaded it, and then I just did a fresh format on this and then recloned a clean copy. Okay, so now all of what's on my drive now is now in here. So, highly recommend doing that. Now, let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit, guys. I want to talk about some comparisons here. So, the stock 7200 RPM hard drive, which is actually this one right here. Okay, I call it HD3. That is the stock drive that came out, and that's the mechanical one. So it's a 1 terabyte 7200 RPM. Its real-time life write speeds are 187.3, and its read is 211.6. The PNY that I put in here, the SSD, has a write speed of 389.8. Okay, so that's pretty quick compared to the stock speed of the Tera drive at 187.3, and its reading speed is 399.8 on the PNY SSD, to the stock drive being at 211.6. So as far as numbers go, basically you're looking at rough guesstimate of about twice as quick for the SSD. It's actually a lot faster than twice as fast, to be honest. When the mechanical drive was in there, I would touch the power button on my computer, and I'm kind of like, I'm waiting, oh, it went gone, and I'm waiting, oh, it's starting to load, and it's going, and I'm waiting for that sign-in screen, and it finally gets there. Okay, then I sign in, and I hit the enter key, and then it starts going to the desktop, and yeah, okay, so we're talking a bit of time here. With the SSD, not even a second after I touch that power on switch, I hear the gong, and it's already starting to load, and I'm like not even 30 seconds and I'm at the desktop. Okay, huge difference in loading time of the operating system. Firing up programs, phenomenally faster. Programs as far as main running of programs like video games and stuff like that, even Minecraft runs so much smoother. The redraw rates are so much quicker. Everything is way faster than it was, you know, with a mechanical drive being in there. And so, I mean, there is really nothing faster than RAM, which is great. Now, to go down the rabbit hole a little bit further, my external Tera drive is a Toshiba USB drive. I've had it for a while. Its write speed in the real world is 108.9, and its read is 109.8. So it's really not that much slower when compared to the stock hard drive being as an internal, right? And this is an external USB at 5400. So 5400 RPM versus 7200 RPM. 2.5 versus the 3 or 3.5, whatever they call these things, stock hard drive. The Tera drive for the internal at 7200 RPM, the write was 187.3, and the write on my external 5400 RPM drive is 108. So it's only like basically about 79 points difference, really. The read speed on the external 5400 is 109.8, and the read is 211. So that's actually close to being twice as fast on the read on the stock drive versus the Tera drive. So it's like the write speeds are kind of closer. Kind of weird numbers, but that's how it works. But yeah, so that's where we are on all that jazz. I'm definitely going to go with an external in the box SSD drive and replace my Tera drive eventually that's external with an SSD. My crucial SSD drive, that is my clone drive, is going to stay in this kind of a platform because I have a hub box I can plug into. I've got a dual docking station, and I can use that, and this way it also keeps this safe and I know exactly what it is and where it belongs. Yeah, I would definitely, like I said, recommend having a secondary copy that's cloned as well to make your reload the next time quicker. Because downloading stuff from the internet, especially if you live in the country like I do and you're stuck on a Rocket Hub or some form of internet where you've got a cap, we're on a 100 gig cap, and that costs us $150 a month right now. If we go over, it's like massive amounts of money per gigabyte extra, and it's like, I kind of blew the bandwidth big time just reloading my Mac, but it had to be done, and I wanted it as a clean, pure operating system, clean programs in, the whole nine. This way I know I have no buggies of any kind, and then this way I was able to pick one of these drives up and re-clone that now internal, so I never ever have to go to Apple servers again. I don't have to re-download stuff, and every time Apple doesn't update, some programs we lose access to until we re-download them, that sort of thing. So I can still keep my Mac up to date that way, and then re-clone this every once in a while as needed to have the most current OS, and all my software current and anything else new that I install will always be on here. So my reload time is now 17 minutes as opposed to a couple of days, and blowing the bandwidth and getting in trouble from the wife for blowing the bandwidth again. But it had to be done, and she understood, so it wasn't a big issue. But I don't want to have to go through that again because that is just such a drag. And at least, I've had my iMac apart once already. If I ever had to replace this internal drive, I am more than comfortable with taking my computer apart again and again and again. It doesn't matter. It's a walk in the park. If you want to see a video actually on how to take apart iMacs that have to be sliced, okay, around the perimeter type of deal, my video covers from the 2012 up to a lot of the current machines, but it should be the same for pretty much any iMac where you have to actually slice the screen in the same way and so on. So do check out that video if you want to know what's involved in doing that, and also everything you're going to need to also put things back together too. So not just as an upgrade to SSD, but also the reassembly and what you're going to need for materials for that. The whole job in and out, even with the drive, still only cost me around 200 and change for everything required, and that was fine. But yes, so severely happy with the SSD. I mean, that is just great for program running. I couldn't have asked for a better solution, to a mechanical drive. And there are faster SSDs out there, there really are. And there are some really big SSDs out there. So, you just buy according to your needs and requirements, and that's how you do it, But anyways, I have no problem putting both of these drives actually at 4 out of 5. And that's where I'm comfortable with. That's my thoughts anyways. I would recommend either one, I am going to be putting an SSD, like I said, as an external on this computer. I'm also going to go with a SSD internal drive on my Lenovo laptop because I want to get rid of the mechanical drive and go SSD. And of course, I'm going to eventually separate and leave just a Mac media only external drive for this computer, and then I'll get an SSD external down the road for my main big laptop and have it as a SSD external as well. I think SSD is definitely the way to go these days. I mean, you're running cooler temperatures too, which is another point I want to make, and then we're out of here. My PNY drive runs at about 33 degrees Celsius, basically. Unless it's the program's in Fahrenheit, I don't know, but it's 33 degrees anyways. Which is great because that's like right in all the safety margins, and that's even after being on for a few hours, even all day long. It's not breaking a sweat past 33, which is good. So that also makes the whole computer run cooler inside, which also means your fans don't need to come on unless they actually need to, right? And so far, my fans have not needed to go get turned on yet, which is good. With the mechanical drive in there, mechanical drives draw a lot more heat, well, they create a lot more heat, but also at the same time, they run 12 volt and 5 volt lines, so they're stealing a lot of power from your computer for performance too, right? So that's another reason why you get a more performance edge in an SSD is you have very minimal heat and you're only taking 5 volts from the power supply as opposed to 12 and 5. So technically 17 volts to run an external hard drive or, well, internal mechanical drive, okay? So that makes a huge difference, in heat levels and power draw and performance of your computer. And, so now the power supply doesn't struggle, the board doesn't have to get as hot, as things are being drawn from it. Everything's just a better. Like even if I feel the computer now, it's like, it's barely even got any warmth. Like, it's just like I wouldn't even call it lukewarm. It's just, there's barely nothing, right? Where with the mechanical drive in there, that thing would be really warm. I would feel it before I even touch it. That's how much heat a mechanical drive can create, as opposed to running an SSD that is like nothing. Which is another reason why the fans don't need to come on to cool if they're not required, because nothing's getting too hot in there, which also gives you more longevity out of your computer too. So now that we're done with the rabbit holes and the review, thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you really enjoyed the video, got a lot out of it. So Mac or PC, those are all my thoughts. If you need the same drive I got, Amazon is $90 all day long for this exact drive. Like I said, mine was on sale at Best Buy. I would not pay more than $90 tops. So if you do buy from Best Buy, make sure it's about $90 on sale. If they put it cheaper, go cheaper by all means. Anyway, so there you go. That's what we got for you today, and we'll definitely catch you on the next video. So thanks again for watching. If you're not subscribed, please do so, and then hit that bell for notifications as I upload new videos. I'm going to have more tech stuff going on. I'm going to see how much further in this year I can dive into more and more Apple tech and see what I can do anyways. I'm still looking actually for an older Mac computer to run some old software on, and I'm going to be probably looking into at least 4 terabytes worth of a storage drive of some sort, because I have thousands of CDs for Mac that I have to actually get off of CD and put onto a Tera drive, several big Tera drive, because I want to get rid of the CDs and just have everything on a little station for Mac software, which is another reason why I'm trying to find an older Mac too, so I can actually make use of that software again. But yeah, Apple fanatics, we collect a lot of stuff, don't we? Anyways, thanks again, guys. See you on the next one.